Great, thank you, and I apologize. Oh, that's I apologize for having to close all these so we can see some footage, but maybe I'll try to make up by being big and entertaining. I do think in the kind of wonderful serendipity of these events, I think that my talk will actually carry through a number of the themes that we just discussed in the last panel. So it was nice to hear some of the things being brought up that we'll talk about. I did write this book, Celluloid Skyline, New York and the Movies. I published it in 2001. It actually went to the printer on the second week of September 2001, giving us only enough time to add a little blurb at the very front of the book, saying obviously the book events had sort of caught up with the book, which I've been working on for 12 years. The book was published, and I am thrilled to say that we have this big exhibit in Grand Central Terminal. It opened last Friday. Many of you may have seen the article we had in the New York Times. It's running for a month until June 22nd, but I really highly recommend, if you're interested in these sorts of subjects, that you go down and see it. The graphic design for the show was done by colleague and partner of Michael Beirut's, Lisa Strausfeld, and her team. The nice thing about doing the show, besides the fact of getting to sort of live out and build in sort of 3 dimensions many of the ideas and themes of my book, was it was a chance to sort of revisit the material that I'd worked on and sort of, as one does, sort of put aside and finished 5, almost 6 years ago, and come back to see it. And in particular, to sort of think about how the city has continued to evolve, particularly in the years since 2001, and how filmmakers continue to sort of show us that city and create their own city. And then the opportunity came to give this talk, which I was really grateful for, and I just think it's a terrific event. And it occurred to me, I mean, I was really struck by the very witty title of the conference. I'm not sure who's responsible for it. But obviously Postopolis has a lot of wonderful meanings. The idea of post being, of course, related to blog, I'm sure that's come up more than once. But I, in my literal like way, I'll go back to the Latin and think of post meaning after. And so really it seems to me that one of the things we've been discussing, or this conference is about, is the city Apolis after, the city after. I think we all know sort of after what. And that's sort of what I thought I'd talk a little bit about today, about a film made since 2001, which I think it's kind of a classic example of the kinds of things I do with Celluloid Skyline. Take a film that is not a high art film, not really, Metropolis or, Cyril Lowe's Holiday or, Jacques Tati, something like that, but try to draw out, I think, really interesting lessons about the sort of urban conditions. So what I'm going to do is show you 2 clips from this film. The movie is A Shark Tale, and we're going to, each clip is about 2.5 minutes. So we look at the first clip now, I'll talk a bit, we'll look at the second clip, and then I'll talk some more, and then take some questions. So why don't we look at this first clip, which is actually from almost the very beginning of the film.
Maybe you could send the mic up.
Okay.
The sharks are gone. I repeat, the sharks are gone.
Don't worry about a thing. Every little thing is gonna be alright. Don't worry about a thing. Every little thing is gonna be alright. Let's all roll. Let's start drinking.
Up next, a mother of 800 tells us how she does it all. But first, over to Janice for the traffic report.
Thanks, Kate. Slight congestion here on the Interstate 95, but no uncertain accidents.
report. How long must this reef live under siege? Is there no hero among us? Who can stop this sharp menace?
Hi, I'm Oscar. You might think you know, but you have no idea. Welcome to my crib. Good like the way the other half lives. Check it out. I got my 60-inch high-def flat screen TV with 6 speakers surround, CD, DVD, PlayStation, and an 8-track player for those days when you're feeling just a little old school. Because even a superstar Mac Daddy fish like me has to have the basic necessities.
Yeah, my buddy.
Come on, shorties, why y'all messing with my fantasy?
So, let's get the obvious out of the way. The city is already underwater. Global warming is obviously completely gone, but they don't seem to mind because they're fish. We see a great central, we think we're underwater, but we come into what is obviously a city, and not just a city. It is a city that is sort of the modern American city. It is New York, with maybe just a little bit of Los Angeles mixed in. Turn this on talking. We see a great big central urban space, which is sort of obviously modeled on Times Square. And then it's very quiet, the city's empty, but suddenly we see some action, we see a character, but it's not really a character. It's per se, it's the image of a character. It's Katie Couric, real voice of Katie Couric, a newscaster, and she's on a big electronic screen in that space. And she's saying, are they gone? Are they gone? The empty city suddenly explodes with life, having been told that it's safe. And this huge kind of flood of urban life, which has obviously been sort of interrupted, now resumes in full flood. And the shops are reopening, the urbane little stores, the flower shops are coming out. And we very quickly get a kind of a panorama of this city. This is the city of the film. It's very rich mix. We certainly see a lot of conventional urban aspects of life that you would see in sort of any modern city. We see garbage collection, we see traffic lights, we see the coming and going and the grid of traffic going forward. We see rapid transit and elevated lines, all the things you would expect to see in the city. We also see, however, that it's a multicultural city. There are 2 fish taxi drivers. They have, indistinct but evidently sort of South Asian accents. We have the Jamaican beat of the music, a kind of reggae beat that sets the whole thing. So we have the West Indian component. We have a Japanese sushi bowl store. We have the conventional Anglo names that you see. So we see this very rich, diverse mix of sort of inhabitants. We also see that it is the kind of classic late capitalist city, to use that old phrase. It is filled with tourism, tourists going around. It is a city based on signage and display of goods and so forth. That's sort of all of those kind of secondary capitalist things. But we also see, very importantly, right from the start, that it is a city whose urban life is saturated with images and electronics all the way through. Whether it's, of course, we've just talked about the big screens and the display, but remember, we also see a shop window, and what's in the shop window? A matrix, a grid of TV screens, and that's giving us more information. And we hear about a real traffic accident going along, and we're told to pull out our cell phones and call in. So it's a city in which electronics kind of pervades the place. But also, importantly, and speaking to things that we talked about in the last discussion, although people argue and fight little sort of arguments are breaking down, there's sort of hiccups in the system, and the city doesn't work quite perfectly. Basically, the city is shown as a vibrant, positive, secure, healthy place. It's basically a lively, working city. It's very interesting to imagine how this film or how this scene would have worked if the movie had been made 20 years ago or 25 years ago. And I'm pretty sure it would not have shown New York in the same way. However, amidst all of this life and all of this vitality, there is a threat. And it is a pervasive threat, we understand. And it comes not from within, but from without. According to the latest Gallup poll, we're told, fear of sharks is at an all-time high. We are told by televised Katie, who's on a big billboard talking to us. And